All right, we are ending off the Wishmaster series with the worst. Isn't that reassuring? This movie's pretty terrible. Definitely the worst in the franchise. I'd say they progress in order from best to least good. The first, and then the second, and then the third, and then the fourth being the one that I like the least, and clearly the one with the most issues for sure. Not that it's not fun in some places, but the third one had a lot more enjoyable things going on with it, and definitely things that made a lot more sense compared to the fourth one. But lo and behold, we've got another Wishmaster film to finish the franchise and directed again by Chris Angel. Not the magician Chris Angel, but a different director, Chris Angel. As I mentioned in the previous review, which I'll probably be posting links for down below if you've missed those yet. But we start off this one with a extremely cheap backstory on the lore. The story is the same when it comes to the lore of the djinn. The djinn is awoken by somebody. That somebody is granted three wishes. Once the djinn has enough power to grant them three wishes by getting other people to make wishes as well. And this gives the djinn power, a different amount of power in every film. They really don't give a shit in keeping continuity, but basically it's showing titles, and there's this like screen of flames that completely looks like a screensaver from 1995 on some Windows 95 computer. It's ridiculously cheap. I've never seen anything cheap, and even the text and the dialogue, or the text, I mean, written as the narrator is speaking, is just so cheap looking. It looks like something that was put up on MS Paint. It's insanely cheap. But then we're introduced to this couple. This couple is named Sam and Lisa. Forgot her name. Sam and Lisa recently just bought a house. They're very excited to be there. They're taking down the for sale sign. They're super happy. There's this brand new couple. There's this really like crazy sex scene at the beginning of the film, which is kind of goofy the way they direct it, but or the way Chris Angel directs it. So it is kind of laughable, but they're definitely honeymoon stage, brand new house, brand new life together, stuff like that. And then it flashes forward to 3 years later, and we've got Lisa meeting up with a lawyer, and the lawyer's name is Steven. And we definitely are left with a lot of questions, like what happened, what's going on, is there a divorce going on, is he dead, is he alive? Turns out that Sam had an accident, a motorcycle accident, because he's a biker. And he was paralyzed and became a paraplegic from the waist down. And they're basically in this battle to get him some money, some insurance money, because they're trying to fight for the bike, like the bike being faulted, and which it was. But with lawyers involved, this takes years, and Sam has become very bitter, and their relationship is completely in turmoil. We have Steven being an absolute douchebag who, even right at the beginning of the film, tries to go in for a kiss on Lisa. So we know where this guy's mind is at. And he's even like, oh, if if bad timing was lethal, I'd be roadkill. No shit. No shit. You're her lawyer for one, and he mentions that he's known Sam for a long time. And he's like, but I see how he treats you and you deserve better. I'm like, oh wow. Wow. I mean, you don't even have bad timing. You're just an idiot. And you're not a good person. But he gives her this gift, which is this random box. Like, he's like, oh, I know you like these things or something. And then he goes for the kiss, and she drops it, and then you see the opal in this box. So somehow it doesn't even say how he came across the opal, but he has it in his house. He goes to put it in a safe, and not even kidding, he types in the code for the safe, 7777. That's the dumbest, most insecure code I've ever heard in my life or seen in my life. That is so ridiculous. Sevens or four sevens? My God. Wow. I mean, this is like 5-10 minutes into the movie, so we're off to a hell of a start. And then we're introduced to Sam again, and Sam is now in a wheelchair, and it's gotta be pretty horrible. if you're a paraplegic and male and unable to perform, I can understand. I mean, that's your entire manhood gone, especially when you're in your 20s or 30s, right? I mean, he obviously has an issue with himself because it he's a douche in the or throughout the film, and there's nothing to really justify him being the way he acts and the way he treats Lisa, because Lisa, she makes it clear all the time that she's in love with him, and in love with him way more than his legs and his sexual abilities. And she shows that throughout, especially throughout the beginning and throughout everything, I'd say. And he's just so bitter and doing everything he can to sabotage the relationship. And you can't necessarily blame him, because like the way me being a guy, like, I mean, what else? Like, if I was in that situation, what else? How else would I feel? Like, you know, that's if it would feel like that's all I have to give, and everything that I would have to give to a relationship is gone. And what's going to stop me of thinking that, like, my future wife or girlfriend or fiance, whatever she is not going to go try to get pleasure from someone else? I mean, what girl wouldn't? I mean, like, obviously a girl can fall in love with a guy for way more than just sex, but me as a guy, that would be the most devastating thing to hit my ego and hit my insecurities the hardest. So, although they obviously were painting Sam to be like kind of the villain, which he was, not gonna lie. He should have had a lot more faith in Lisa, that's for sure, because Lisa was one hell of a girl in this situation. She even, she says she finds the lawyer, Stephen, attractive and thought about it, but she's so invested and involved and in love with Sam, and makes it clear that she would never go, leave him behind or betray him or do anything. Like, she mentions she fell in love with him, not his legs, right? But anyways, that's a little side note on that situation. It's a very, very, very great situation and part of the plot of the film. That's one of the best plots in these four. Too bad the rest of the film around it is kind of ridiculous, but that plot alone was definitely like very interesting to think about, to say the least. So she's involved with this lawyer, but because he found the jewel, which he didn't even know he had, doesn't make any sense. It was in the box and he never even realized it, but it's in his house. Excuse me. The Jinn reveals himself again and wants to find the waker, the person who woke him, which is Lisa. And he ends up he kills Steven. I think Steven, like, in self defense, tries to kill the Jinn, and then he wishes, like, I wish. He says some kind of wish, like, I wish you'd just tell me what the hell you're doing here, because he thinks he's being robbed or something. And the genie or the Jinn says, "As you wish," and then the Jinn reveals why he's there and what his purpose is, and then he kills Steven somehow. Takes his face, and we have the same situation as we had in the third film, where he's possessing or taking over Steven's body. So he uses Steven, because Steven's a lawyer, to get to Lisa, kind of thing. And this is, from here on out, you know that Steven is the Jinn. So Steven is acting like a douchebag, just like he was at the beginning of the film, and clearly going after Lisa and not giving a shit about Sam. But you have to kind of remind yourself throughout the film that it's the Jinn and not Steven. So you're like, Steven's being a douchebag, and you're like, oh shit, no, it's the Jinn. So it makes sense. Oh, Steven's doing this and he's such a piece of shit. Oh no, it's actually the Jinn. So you have to keep reminding yourself that it's the Jinn in his body, kind of thing. So it's not necessarily Steven being the douche, it's the Jinn being evil, which the Jinn is evil in every film. So he lures Lisa, the Jinn, I mean, to the office, and she thinks, he wants to get her alone and everything, but then he basically, in a really good scene, he calls one of the lawyers, and he tells Lisa, he's like, I can make this lawyer do whatever I want. So he's on the phone with the lawyer, and he's basically taking control over the lawyer on the other end, and he's pretending to have a phone call. And he's like, "You're gonna sign this piece of paper," and he's having this full conversation. The lawyer on the other end loses control of his arm and like grabs a pen, and then he starts like saying things like, "I'm sure you would like cut your nose off to save your own face." Things like that, and then the lawyer uncontrollably starts to like carve at his nose, and it's really, really stupid. The rest of the employees in the other lawyer's office, while he's cutting his face and basically mutilating himself, the other people are like banging on the window, like, "No, no, stop, stop, please stop!" Like, so calm and casually, as if the guy's like, I don't know, I don't even know what situation they would be. They're just waving. They're like, and this guy's like carving his face off. He's carving his nose off, literally. And there's a point where even like after he signs the piece of paper, the djinn makes him uncontrollably point a gun to his head and shoot himself. Why? Because the djinn's a piece of shit. He did what he asked, but he shoots him anyway, or makes himself shoot himself anyway. And still, the people are like, "No, no, no, no," and it's so stupid. You would think they would be reacting way, way more severely than that. But it is what it is. Anyway, he signs for 10 million. Lisa gets the 10 million. She goes to share the good news with Sam, and he's still not happy because he thinks that all she wanted was the money, and then she wants to split it, and then she wants to leave his ass because he can't perform. Again, as an insecurity and a guy with an ego, it makes sense, but this guy has no trust in this woman whatsoever, and it's to his own detriment. Like it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like, it's again choices, right? You choose to be a certain way, you choose to believe a certain thing, it's gonna have consequences. So Stephen, or the djinn as Stephen, goes to dinner with Lisa, and during dinner, she makes her second wish, and because she doesn't even know she's making wishes at this point, or maybe it's her first wish, I don't know. But she kind of unknowingly makes her wishes in this film, which is a kind of an interesting perspective in the way the director decided to take it in this one, where she's not aware that she's making wishes, or it's more sneaky in that way. And she wishes that Sam could walk again. And then, of course, she's granted her wish. So his legs start miraculously working again at home, and slowly, but like he still has the pain and everything. But he's able to walk slowly and surely. And once he gains motions of his legs, you think that he's going to take this opportunity to immediately make love to Lisa again. But he decides to go to the strip club because he has been lacking sex for so long, and he's like, well, now that I can walk again, I want to feel like a single man again. Wow. Wow, he must really have thought that Lisa was going behind his back, which again, like, you know, it's not far-fetched to, as a man, believe that your wife is faithful to you if you can't perform. Let's say you have no access from your bottom half down, and you can't please your wife or your girlfriend. It's not an impossibility that the woman's going to be faithful to you. It's very likely that the woman's going to be faithful to you, especially if she loves you. It's very, very clear, and it's a possibility. But it's not far-fetched for the guy to worry about it, because I mean, what human wants to go years without sex? Let's be real. I mean, it's a very hard situation, as I explained it before. I'm not going to get into it again, but it's just a really, really hard and thought-provoking situation. But the dude, I guess, thinks that she was going behind his back and lying to him, and he's just like, I'm going to go fuck a bunch of strippers now, or get a bunch of lap dances and whatever. And it's just like, your first choice isn't your wife, or whatever they are. I don't think they're married in the movie, but fiance, whatever, common law, whatever the hell it is. Like, that was the point where I'm like, okay, you just lost me now. Anyway, the djinn keeps trying to seduce and win over Lisa's love, I guess, but for the wishes, not because he wants anything to do with her sexually or romantically. He wants her to grant her 3 wishes so he could take over the world as the djinn. And this is where she accidentally makes the djinn, and the plot gets a little bit stupid. She's falling for Steven, who she thinks is Steven, and she, under her breath, wishes, I wish I could just love you for who you are. And the Jinn hears this and he turns around. And he's like he's in the kitchen, but he overhears her saying this, and he's like the third wish. And then they introduce multiple jinns. So there's other jinns that come from wherever the jinns live, and he's like, she wished to love me uh, the way I am. She wished that she could love me for the way I am. Any mortal human, any mortal human needs to give love at free will. Otherwise, it's not love. So he can't grant her the wish because it goes against the lure of the like I don't understand that the she made a wish and you can't grant it because of some stupid moral. You're a jinn. You've the shit you've done in the other movies, and you can't just go like this and make her fall for you because she has to fall for him the way he is, so a monster form. And you can't just go in monster form and go like this and then have her go, I love you, and then he takes over the world. It'd be really easy for a powerful, all powerful jinn like that, but no, he doesn't do it. The whole rest of the film is these other jinns coming into the world in human form, and at some point in the movie fighting the jinn. So jinn versus jinn, and they're like sword fighting and shit because he's refusing basically to grant this final wish and bring himself and all these other jinns into the world because of some morality. She basically took it upon herself to grant the wish because she's the one who has to fall in love with the jinn for who he is. Really, really, really dumb. Really dumb. Like, there's no logic in that. This movie could have ended in 20 minutes, but it doesn't. What else we got? We got a kill where this woman wishes for killer sex, so she basically has an orgasm that kills her. That's kind of funny. This waitress at a restaurant wishes. There's this couple kissing at another table, and the waitress is like, "Man, I wish somebody would kiss me like that." And the genie's like, "Granted." And she's like, "Yeah, don't hold your breath." And then every guy starts standing up and coming over to the waitress and making out with her, and she's like, "What is going on?" But she's going with it, and she makes out with like 8 guys in a row. It's funny as hell, and she's like, "What's going on?" But I kind of like it. But what's going on? But I kind of like it. It was really funny. There's actually a scene at a strip club where this really cool classic like early 2000s house track plays, and I really like that house track. It really reminds me of like 90s and early 2000s house music. Being a DJ, I really like my electronic music. So that happens. That was a little smile moment for me. And I already mentioned the Jin versus Jin. It's extremely stupid. The third wish is still left ungranted because she needs to make it for whatever reason. And then we have Sam come back as the hero at the end of the movie, even though the entire movie he was made not to be liked, understood, but not to be liked because he just completely like sabotaged the relationship tenfold. But then in the last 5 minutes, he's supposed to be the hero. So he still has a wish to be made because anybody else other than the person who woke the Jinn gets one wish, and he hasn't made one yet. So he wishes, again, plot hole, here's another one. He wishes for a way to be able to kill the Jinn, which was established in Wishmaster 2 that you can't. You can't kill what is immortal. But in this movie, you can. So the Jinn gives him a sword that has the power to kill the Jinn. It was made official that the Jinn can't die because the Jinn's immortal. So you can't wish for a way to kill the Jinn. This is done in the first movie too. But in the fourth film, Chris Angel just breaks all the rules, and now this Sam guy can wish for a way to kill the Jinn, and it's granted, and he gets this big sword, just like the guy's sword in the third film. Kind of looks the same. And he's unable to kill the Jinn, but he gets the sword impaled in himself too. Sam, I mean. So Sam has the freaking sword midway through himself, and we have a scene where Lisa pretends to fall in love with the Jinn, and then she starts making out with the Jinn, faking it because she has this plan with Sam, and she pushes the genie into Sam, and then the sword that's through Sam impales the genie, so they're like double penetrated with a sword in between the two of them, and then the sword kills the Jinn. Now, that works because he wished for a way to be able to kill the jinn, so that sword was able to kill the jinn. What doesn't work is the ideology of it, because the jinn, according to the other films, can't die, and it still doesn't fulfill Lisa's wish. Lisa's wish to the genie, to the jinn, was for the jinn to, or her wish in general, was to fall in love with Stephen, who or the jinn who's, I have a hard time describing this. Her wish was to fall in love with who she thought was Stephen, but is actually the jinn for who that he is. So to fall in love with the jinn, technically. And he doesn't fulfill that because even though he should be able to, he can't for whatever reason. It's a freaking retarded ending, okay? I'm sorry for saying that word because I know you can't these days, but whatever. The fucking ending's retarded. I don't give a shit. It's dumb. It's stupid. This film was dumb. This is the worst in the franchise by far. I gave it a 1 out of 5. I was gonna give it a half star out of 5, because it was that bad. But for the production value, I mean, it's not your lowest of the low budget. Like, the acting isn't horrendous. The sets, the camera work, it looks like a professional enough made film. So it's certainly like B level quality, like straight to DVD. Like, this is not having a theatrical release, and probably not having much festival attention either. But I mean, I can't deny that it doesn't deserve at least a 1. So it's not half star bad. That takes one hell of a that's one level of bad to get a half star that this one didn't necessarily deserve. But anyways, I think I've rambled on about this bad of a movie enough. So that was Wishmaster 4, and the Wishmaster series is done. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I will be back for more, so stay tuned and stick around if you're interested, and if you like my film reviews. And until next one, have a good one. Talk to you guys later. Take care and cheers.